Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, Vet07, and today we're going to be doing a sword tier list. So a lot of people did want me to do this, so I'm going to go ahead and do it really quick for you guys. Also, this tier list does not have the one of the Christmas swords on it, so just pretend like I'm putting all the limiteds right now in C tier. They're all pretty bad. I do want to say the best one is probably Pumpkin Smasher, and then the other Christmas sword will go into the back of Xmas Blade, or the behind Xmas Blade. They're all pretty bad. Pumpkin Smasher does have some potential for PvP, but only one move on it's really good. And Xmas Blade after rework is just kind of mid. Let's get started with the first sword. Now, the first sword that we actually have is a mythic sword, and it's pretty OP. So you already know Blood Moon Twins is going in S tier. It has really good DPS, good cooldowns, and also very good damage. So also this tier list is PvE. So just remember PvE. I will do a PvP here in a second. Ethereal's a decent all-around sword, and it's pretty easy to get in 3rd C. Nightblade, meta, it does a ton of damage to bigger hitboxes, which is really good for this update. There's 3 new big bosses, or 4, and it has a lot of range too. Saber V2, Saber V2 is pretty dang good. It has really good damage, more of a PvP sword, but for PvE it's not bad. It has good DPS. Acro Scythe doesn't really heal a lot anymore, and on like a lot of targets, so it's not really good for the normal raid, but it's not a bad sword. It's not really good for many things. It's just all right. The only thing it's got going for it is that it's got that lifesteal, but there's another sword in the game that we'll get to soon that's a lot better. ATK is decent. Now this is just an all right PvP sword, or PvE, excuse me. It doesn't really pull right now too. It's kind of bugged. They're probably gonna fix all the bugs in the Halloween event that's gonna come soon. So just wait for that to get fixed, and then I could really test. But overall, I mean, I want to say this is better than Ethereal, but it is a decent sword. Not the best for PvE, but it's all right. Mirror Moss. So Mirror Moss is an interesting one. I haven't used the Unawakened in a long time, but if we're talking about V2, V2 is just alright. It has such a long cooldown, and it also did get a little bit of a nerf where basically it's harder to get the mode on it to do a little bit extra more damage. It's just really not that good. If people say it's S tier, you're tripping. Nightblade is literally just 1,000 times better. The cooldown is so much like better, and then it also just does like maybe a little bit less damage than Mirror Moss of V2. Like I said, I don't really use this sword, but I do know it does high damage, just long cooldowns. We have another ATK. I'm just going to put that down right there. Longavius. So Longavius actually has some pretty good AoE and damage right now. It does like 38k full combo, which is actually really good for any sword in the game. So yeah, Longavius is in a decent spot right now. I'm not sure if they buffed it or what, but it just feels a little bit stronger. Acro Spear is 110% meta, so like I was saying, this sword gives lifesteal, just a better Acro Scythe in terms of that. So lifesteal, you get really good damage, really good cooldowns, you get a pull, and you get like a mid-range attack and like a teleport kind of ish. It's like just a good moveset all around with good cooldowns and damage. Really good sword right here, so I would recommend. This is meta for like smaller targets, but there probably is a better sword. I'm pretty sure that we do have a sword that is better than Acro Spear on those smaller targets, so we'll get to that soon. Quick Spear is just decent. It has decent AoE and decent cooldowns, just all that. It's just an average sword. Not bad. Avalon is pretty bad. You get like better regeneration or just one move that does damage. It's pretty bad. Same with Ancient Sword. Don't use Ancient Sword. It has like one move on it. It's pretty bad. I don't think there's a single build in the game for this. I've never seen anybody run it. Also, same with Avalon. I'm gonna drop Avalon down. I think Avalon's bad. Enma is a solid sword. I do think it has its place. It's very easy to get. It's in 2nd C, good damage, full AoE, decent long range move. This is just an all around good sword. Really nice. Authentic Mace does a ton of damage to bigger targets, just not a lot of range. It does have a long range move, but just not a lot of range on the 2nd ability, which is a ton of damage to bigger targets. So if you have Authentic Mace, use it for Hydras or whatever you're trying to fight. Cookie Sword, just a mid sword all around. It's just alright stats. Soul Cane, just mid. It's just another mid sword. B tier is just going to be mid. Like, honestly, these swords are just mid. Don't really use them. Shilling Blossom, mid. It just doesn't really have... It's just okay. I mean, I can maybe move it up all the way over here, but there was a time when the sword was broken. They should definitely buff it again. Apollos has good damage. I think it's better than all these swords, probably, for DPS. And it's got like a barrage to keep him stunned. It's just a decent sword all around. Now, Aquatic Anchor is pretty bad. It has a move that does like decent damage, but it just pushes them away, so it makes it pretty bad. And the first ability is just a bad slow projectile. Daybreak Cleaver is pretty bad too. It just doesn't do a lot of damage, and there's nothing really special about the Hydra weapons, except of Spectre of Flames, which we'll just do right now. Spectre of Flames can heal you. It's really good for raid. I do want to say that I have to rank this sword pretty high. It's got its place in the meta. It's pretty useful. I like to use this in raid when I'm low. Dragon Standard, I don't know anybody that uses Dragon Standard. I'm pretty sure the sword's really bad now, but it was really good a few updates ago. So if this sword is good and I'm just tripping, let me know, because I know there is like a healing feature, like a damage buff or something with it that is special. It's just not really that good. North Shore is pretty dang good on those bigger targets, especially if you have a stun. For example, if you use Quake, which has a stun on it, use North Shore's last move, and it will do a ton of damage. So the North Shore is just a really good sword, although it is very expensive, so a lot of people probably aren't going to have it, but it is decent. Phoenix Blade is the best DPS on smaller targets, but Nightblade is the best for bigger targets, so just whatever one you want to use, these are the best. Adventure Knife used to be retarded back in the day. Now it's just a mid sword. They had to nerf it into the ground, which is understandable. This sword did get a rework, but it's still pretty bad. Koro V1, pretty bad. Ponder Blade, just bad. Just all these swords really don't use. They're all just mid. They all do around the same damage. Also, Tashi Blade is a uncommon and one of the first swords you get, and it did just get buffed. But yeah, it's pretty good. Shark Blade, it's pretty bad. Paul, it's just mid. It's just a mid sword. Vanilla Sax is just mid as well. Golden Spear's probably one of the worst swords in the game. Oops. Golden Spear is probably one of the worst swords in the game. So definitely don't be using this. Mini Mace, C tier, Pipe, pretty bad. Katana, pretty bad. Jitter, pretty bad after the rework. Barrack Axe is also pretty bad. Okay, Hunter Blade. Hunter Blade did just get a nerf for Ken, but in terms of just damage in general, it's just average. It's just like not really that good. Also, why is the tier list so laggy? Like it's kind of like lagging about. Also, Drake and Fangs. Now this sword can group up, and it does really good damage. So I'm gonna have to put this one in, pretty high up. I'll be honest. This is a good sword for just damage in general. So yeah, I definitely would recommend trying to get this. Riptide Slayer. This is good on bigger targets. One of the moves is just hits a ton of damage if you have a bigger target. Other than that, though, it's just a solid all-around sword. This also can group up, but it doesn't really do as much damage as Drake and Fangs. But it can group up, which is quite nice. So this is the tier list. Actually, I think it can group up. From what I've seen, it drags, but I'm not sure if it can drag multiple people. So just, by the way. Also, this is the tier list. Of course, we have S tier. All this looks right. A tier. All this looks right. Except if we're talking about Muramasa. Muramasa's only right here because of the Sea Beast. It's literally completely useless for everything else. So in reality, it's like mid A tier. It's not really good anymore. So just stay away from Muramasa just in general. B tier, everything looks pretty good. C tier, also just remember there is a Christmas Blade that I didn't include because I didn't feel like adding it, but the other Christmas Blade is pretty bad. So all the limited swords are pretty bad. And of course we have D tier. Also, there is just an extra ATK right here, so just don't worry about that. I might be a little bit slow. I forgot about Koro V2, but Koro V2 for PvE is actually really good. The M1s do carry it. If you're using OP, of course, then it has special M1s, which are really strong. Echo Strike in room is okay. Doesn't really do a lot of damage, but has a lot of AoE. And of course, the second move is really good. In terms of boss farming, this can hit all the tentacles, so it's actually really nice for that. Other than that, though, the M1s carry the DPS of the sword. And then, of course, you have OP, which is just a really good moveset in general. And then you have Koro V2 M1s. Okay, so time for our PvP tier list. Axis Blade, it's bad, I'll be honest. I'll just put stuff in D that you just don't want to use in general. Boogman Twins, S. A lot of damage, easy to use. Pretty much good with every fruit. Ethereal, strong, decent, and can work with pretty much every fruit. Nightblade has one move that's alright. Like it's just not really that good for PvP, but you could use it. Same with Pumpkin Smasher. You could use it, just not really the best. Saber, S tier, good damage, easy to use, and has a long range ability that you could get lucky and snipe, but it's just cool when you hit it. Acroscythe has like one good move on it. I really wouldn't recommend it, but it is going to be most likely bottom of A tier, but it is a decent sword. ATK, if the ATK glitch didn't happen right now where it just pulls, like if it just pulled normally, it'd be S tier. But if we're talking about like without the polling, it's like eh. But if we're just going to assume it's going to get fixed, and we're going to go ahead and just say S tier. Muramasa, worst sword in the game for PvP. We have an extra ATK here. Go ahead and put that down there. This sword is unusable in PvP, I'll be honest. Acrospear, it's usable, but just depends on what you're using. Only a few fruits could use Acrospear. Like Quake Spear is more, like you could probably use Quake Spear. It's more versatile. So Quake Spear is going to go in B tier. Just an all-around decent sword for PvP. Just the damage isn't really that high. Avalon, useless. Ancient Sword, useless. Now, Hell Sword. Hell Sword is actually a decent sword. Easy to get. Good damage all around. Like full AoE. Strips dodges quite easily. Just all around a really good sword. Authentic Mace, pretty bad, I'll be honest. You don't really want to use this. It won't really work. Just mid. Cookie Sword is just mid. Maybe like a worse Quake Spear, just bad like mid damage, easy to use, I guess. Okay, so Soul Cane is interesting because if there's a fruit that really is dependent on Soul Cane for the stun to one-shot combo, then it could be S depending on the fruit. But I don't really know any fruit as of right now that really needs Soul Cane stun. But it could easily be S tier. But we're gonna go A tier for right now. Metal Trident, just mid. Cerulean Blossom is usable on like Venom maybe, but still bad. Apollos is just alright. It has one move that could work. Aquatic Anchor is pretty bad. Usable though. Deadbreaker Axe or Cleaver, pretty bad. Dragon Standard, unusable. Nurser is pretty unusable as well, I'll be honest. Phoenix Blade, unusable. I'm talking about V2 by the way. Spectral Flames, you could heal, but wouldn't use that. Adventure Knife, usable. This alright damage. Nothing too crazy on a Adventure Knife. Sinking Blade, mid. Okay, so I just put a bunch of swords like Pole, Shark Blade, Tashi Blade, just a few other rare swords in B tier. Now, most of these swords are like somewhat usable, but don't use them. Like, you could use them, but they're just not good. The damage is mediocre and just mid swords, really. But we do have a uncommon sword that actually could be meta. Doesn't really do that much damage, but it does have an ability where it sucks you towards the middle and strips good dodges. So, like, Anubis X is kind of crazy, but it's just alright. The damage is really low, but you could strip dodges really easily and suck them towards the middle, so like a little bit of a stun. So, debatable on Anubis X. All these are unbelievably trash for PvP. Let's go ahead and throw all these down in the bottom. And then, of course, we have an extra ATK. Now, Hunter Blade was easily the best sword in the game for PvP. Now it got a pretty bad observation nerf where it basically can't instantly break your dodges. Thank God for that. But it only takes like one dodge right now, so it's not really the best anymore, but it still is usable. Like, it's easily usable. It's a good sword all around. It still has its OP stun. It still has that decent damage. That was good cooldown. So it could be top S, or it could be, it could be top A, or it could be S, but just a decent all-around sword for PvP. If you have it, there's better, but it's still good. Okay, so if we're talking about the new swords, we're going to go with the Mythic Sword from Dragon. It is retarded. It's really, really good. Drake and Fangs is definitely S tier. It's one of the best in the game. Really strong, just easy to do. Has a pull. It's just really good all around. Second weapon that's new that drops from the Crab Axe. It is pretty dang good. Don't have it, so I can't do much testing, but I'll just take Happy's word for it. He says it's meta, so I'm going to have to put it at S, because he says it's meta. Happy's an admin, so I'll just take his word for it. The other sword, the Abyssal Slayer, I believe it's called, it's more of a PvE sword, so it's just kind of mid, so don't worry about that for PvP. Alright, so first of all, we're going to be talking about the sword with OP because that's when it really shines. So OP with the sword, if you're high in the air, you can't combo. There's no combo. If you use Echo Strikes in room, they hit by like 7k damage, strip their dodges, hit Biohazard Bolt, and maybe you can hit Gamma, like Unawakened Gamma, but you have to turn around for that. So it's kind of bad, but if you do throw a Spark and Glacier Stone on it, which I have right now, they can fall straight to the floor. They also buff Glacier where you can't jump, so they fall to the floor, and you have a brief moment to actually hit them with other moves. You could get a combo in. It'd probably take a lot of practice. It'd probably take, just locking in. You gotta really lock in with this combo. It's just kind of a lot of work. Or you could just straight run with OP and just spam the sword. Echo Strikes and the Biohazard Bolt, and then skedaddle. You just gotta run and just hope that they won't catch you. So honestly, high A, maybe S. There's a lot of things with this sword that are just kind of mid and some that are really good. Just remember, I can't keep track of every slight buff and nerf that they make. So if like a high tier sword that I ranked is bad now, there's no way I could really know, but I'm pretty sure they didn't nerf any major swords. So like and sub for more, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.